Nobody wants to waste their time doing exercises that don't get them the best benefit possible. So a lot like you, I'd like to maximize that time by making the most progress that I can. That being said, just like we talked about in episode 1, there are exercises that are so good that they're MVPs. You're hustling in reverse if you're not doing them. And in today's segment, we're going to talk about just common weaknesses people have muscularly and strength-wise, and then exercises that I commonly prescribe to this day that allow me to not only maximize my results, but those that I work with. Now, after today's video, you're going to understand the benefits of these S-tier exercises, along with how to put them in your program, recommended rep ranges, special workouts that I like to include to keep things fresh, and then overall mistakes to avoid when to do them. Let's get right to it. Raise your hand if you want a big, wide, succulent back. I know I do. I know that a lot of y'all folks do. The best exercise that you can add in addition to pull-ups, rows, things like that, which will be your holistic exercises, the ones that give you the most well-rounded development, are going to be movements that target specific parts of your back. Now, if you're looking for that width, which in a lot of people is something that they're looking for, something like a diagonal pull, specifically a rack chin, or if you have a machine like a diagonal pull machine. Now, what are the benefits over, say, something like an L-sit pull-up? Well, like with the L-sit pull-up, you get that spinal flexion, the hollow body position. When you do that, you can stretch your lats more. But unlike the L-sit pull-up, which looks extremely cool, and if we're going off rule of cool, honestly, that surpasses the rack chin and the diagonal pull. You don't have to rely on the strength of your core, which is not a bad thing, but if you're looking to push your lats to failure, your core more than likely is going to fail before that. Now, because your feet are supported on a chair, or even better with a machine and padding, you're able to get into that spinally flexed position, keep your elbows in front of your face like that, and then really keep it in the lats. Now, who needs these? It's a self-evident question, bro. Anyone who wants a jacked and stacked wide back. If you have trouble targeting your lats on things, all jokes aside, try this exercise out. It's going to be the game changer for you, to be quite honest with you. All right, now how do you put this exercise in your program? I like to keep it simple. I use a pyramid system that I was inspired to use from Meadows, wherein you start with a holistic movement, say in this example, pull-ups, rows, things that work your back generally. And then after that, in a higher rep range, you just do something like the L-sit pulls if you wanted to do those, or the rack chins, or the machine diagonal pulls. In terms of ways how you would do them, there's the basic way and then there's the fun way. The basic way is just a regular double progression. You give yourself 3 sets, 15 to 25 reps. You increase in weight once you can get 3 sets of 25, blah, blah, blah. That's gonna be a common theme among all these exercises, but this unique workout that I wanna present to you guys is something like this. Using a density strategy. So BEARDBRAND way of saying, look, bro, you take a timer, set it for 5 minutes, you get in as many high quality reps as you can within 5 minutes. It sounds easy, but it's very, very brutal. The reps get extremely grueling after like honestly 2 minutes, bro. And the way that you progress in that is you just add in more density, more reps in that 5-minute period. You give yourself like a maximum cap. I talk about it in this video here. And once you reach that maximum, you just increase in weight a little bit, or maybe even add a little bit of time. And then you increase density within that larger time period. Now, in terms of mistakes, the only mistake that you can make, in my humble opinion, is not doing these using rings if you're doing the rack chins. Really, rings are a very versatile tool in general. If you don't have them and you're training at home, you're messing up. Go get some rings. But other than that, just trying hard. This exercise is something that you can really, really push hard into failure. When you do these types of isolation exercises or movements that emphasize certain muscle groups on your body, you really want to push them hard to get the maximum benefit out of them, because the truth be told is rep for rep compared to the compound movement, the stimulus isn't as high. So if you're pussyfooting around these, finisher movements, you're not going to reap the benefit. So you got to try hard. All right, next up, fellas, we have to have a heart-to-heart talk about rear delts, about traps, about side delts. Do you skip your side delt isolation? Do you skip your rear delts? That was me for a long time. My exercise selection was very simplistic. 2 common cures for this malady are Facepulls and what I call upright seal rows. Now, what are the benefits? First and foremost, if you're a fella where you're constantly complaining about, oh, bench press hurts my shoulders, or whatever exercise that doesn't and shouldn't really hurt your shoulders, you need an exercise that's going to help alleviate and prevent that. Rear delt flies and upright seal rows are like lotion for your shoulders. Reason being is that you're working your internal and your external rotation. And for people that don't care about the nerd terminology, it just means this. You're doing this to some degree in some plane. All right, enough injury prevention talk. What does it do for my muscles? All right, listen, it works the upper back. Like I said, it works the delts. And honestly, bro, it's something that you can just easily add to your program. The fatigue is extremely low and the benefits are extremely high. Now, in terms of which one you pick, you could easily do both at home, but it's just dependent upon what you feel like you need more. If you need more rear delts and you need more specific external and internal rotation work, just use the Facepull. You still get that on the upright seal row, but the upright seal row was more biased specifically to working your side delts and your upper back. But they both work the same things. Like I said, it's just about what you feel like you need more. Now, how do you put them in your program? There's a lot of different ways that you can put these exercises in your program. One, as part of a holistic warm-up before some pressing. So you're just warming up, you're lotioning the shoulders, so to speak, Unga Bunga style. You can do them after you're pressing. You can do them superset it with your pressing. You could do them at the beginning and at the end. You could do them at the beginning, middle, and the end. The possibilities are endless. All right, now how do you actually do them in the midst of a training session? We've all heard 12 to 20 face pulls, blah, blah, blah. You can Google that, bro. I'm here to talk to you about the fun stuff because I don't do the boring 3x12 face pulls. I do something that I got from Freaky D, 0550. 550 bench presser, more than likely bench presses your deadlift. He likes doing something that I like to call a ladder, meaning you start with, say, 50 pounds on a weight stack, you do 10, 12 reps, you strip one of the plates off the weight stack, you do 10, 12 more reps, all the way down to 5. Now that might sound like junk volume to y'all, but I assure you that it's not, because all the muscles that are used in face pulls or upright rows, they're kitchen sink muscles, meaning the more punishment that you can throw at them, the more they seem to grow. It's not something like your chest, for example, where if you're just pressing the 5-pound dumbbells and expect them to grow, newsflash, bro, they're more than likely not going to. All right, big meaty spinal erectors look extremely cool. They make you look like a tank, but the gift and the curse, they can also be like that annoying little brother that you got to bring with you everywhere, and if he starts to overstay your welcome, you're not really able to go all out like you want to. Much the same, lower back, it's cool, but sometimes you want to eliminate that from your posterior chain exercises so that your hamstrings, your glutes, your upper back, your traps can get that much more love. The trap bar Romanian deadlift or the dumbbell Romanian deadlift are two exercises that I really like prescribing for that exact purpose. Now, you're de-emphasizing the low back just because of where the weight is in relation to your center of gravity. It's closer to your center of gravity as opposed to something like a stiff leg deadlift where it's way in front of you, or a good morning where it's way, way in front of you. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you think this is a chick exercise, because mostly you see women doing it, I want to introduce you to my boy Andrew. He defiantly texted me saying he was going to double 705 pounds on the deadlift next week. The guy is absolutely massive. Look at the size of his legs. I'm not too good for it. You're not too good for it. It's a banging movement. Now, just like with the rack chins, because you de-emphasize muscles, the muscles that you do use actively are getting a stronger, more targeted stimulus, and that's the name of the game. So this is going to be for fellas that want to work their hamstrings more, that want to work the glutes more, but their lower back is taking a beating. They're doing the most lower back work that they can. Also, just for guys that pull sumo just in general in a strength context, this is going to be an exercise that allows you to perform better because your hamstrings and your hinge are getting beefed up in general. Now, the way I like to include them, I'm going to shill right now, the full body day. I am a big full body fan. I include full body training sessions a lot for myself and my clients, not, throughout the entire week, but targeted. Now, specifically in a full body context, I really like having two main movements, big movements to open up the day. One press and then one lower body exercise, and then you have all of your other accessories after that. I really like that. Y'all try that out and you let me know. Now, rep range wise, sorry, I don't have anything special here. Forgive me. Just a regular double progression is honestly going to be the best thing. Because it's a big movement, you don't need to apply anything fancy to it. Just effort. In terms of the rep range, the 8 to 15 is the best for this in my experience. Once you get to 3 sets of 15, you increase the weight, rinse and repeat. Now, in terms of mistakes that you want to avoid with this, they're just like on any pure hip hinge. A lot of people cheat their hip hinges by bending at the knees, by not using enough range of motion, and then also just use grip assistance, bro. Use straps. Like, You can do other things for your forearms. You can do wrist curls, wrist extensions, reverse curls. There's much better exercises to work your grip, to work your forearms. Are you trying to work your freaking posterior chain, or are you trying to look cool on the internet? Freaking use Berserk grips. Those are my favorite. They're gonna allow you to push your posterior chain to the closest proximity to failure and just get more jacked. Nothing's like squats. I mean, nothing compares to squats. But sometimes with squats, we can change the way that we're doing that to get more of what we're actually looking to grow, which for a lot of people, including myself, is the quads. There's two exercises that I really like that will allow you to both get a squattier squat and get more jacked legs. First and foremost is going to be the hack squat. My boy Sam just made a video talking about hack squats and how miserable they are. With your legs, and specifically on the hack squats, there's always one more, right? I think I left a comment on his video where it's like, rep 8 on a hack squat. Dang, this is tough. Rep 20. Dang, this is tough. They all feel equally tough, and there's always one more. Hack squats are gonna get your legs way more thick and succulent and juicy. Let me tell you something, man. 2 good plates for 20 good reps, brutal. Now, if you're in a home gym and you wanna reap a lot of the same benefits as a hack squat, something that you can do with your squat to make it quaddy and to punish your quads is a 1.5 squat. Now, they're the same benefits, but applied in a different way. Sometimes we just want to do things to make, our bodies acutely aware if we're doing something, right? That to say, on a squat, if you push your hips back, you might not notice it if you're using a regular cadence. But on a 1.5 squat, because you have to gently come up to a half squat and come back down, you're acutely aware if your hips are pushing back or if your knees are staying forward. And low key, coming into that half squat gradually and then coming back down is a lot harder than you would think on the quads. So it's like a 2-for-1 movement. If you're just a fella that is looking for, bigger quads and then seeing if that'll help your squat out, go for the hack squat. But if you're someone that just needs to become more technically proficient, go for the 1.5 squat. Now, in terms of how I would place them in my training program, just like with the trap bar Romanian deadlifts and the dumbbell Romanian deadlifts, I really like using them on a full body day in the exact same way that we just talked about. Or if you're Johnny bodybuilder, you can put them on a quad biased lower body day as like the first exercise. Now, fun workouts. I know I said, big exercises don't need, fun workouts because the basics are enough, which generally is true. But for the hack squat specifically, there's something that I like to call, and what I'm gonna coin now is hyper squats. If you ever heard of super squats, it's like the same thing, except for because you're not limited by your lower back like you are on a squat, which you always will be to some extent. You can de-emphasize it, but you can never completely remove lower back from it. On a hack squat, it's nothing but quads. So there literally is always one more. You can always take a few breaths and get one more for a lot longer than you think you can. What you think is 8 reps, 1 rep in reserve. If you push it, bro, you could probably get like 20, 25 good reps. I like using 1 set of hack squats, using the hyper squats method, and then just progressing that week to week. So you start off with 8 reps, you do 10, 12, all the way up to say like 20, 25 reps. Once you get to that, you drop back down to 8, increase in weight, and then you do the same thing. You can use that intermittently with just like a regular double progression. So like between 8 and 12 reps for either the hack squat or the 1.5 squat. I wouldn't use hyper squats on the 1.5 squats just because I couldn't personally fathom doing a 20 rep Widowmaker 1.5 style. But if you're a psycho, I'm not telling you to do that, bro, but like if you do, I'm curious, just let me know. Now, in terms of mistakes to avoid with the hack squat, just not trying hard enough. There's always one more. Keep that in mind. Now with the 1.5 squats, it's really gonna be, if you're being made acutely aware of your hips pushing back more than you would like them to, and you keep doing it just to get more reps, you're defeating the entire purpose of doing this movement. Be acutely aware of the form, slow down your tempo if you need to, but make sure that you're keeping it in the legs because that's the entire reason you're doing this. Last up is gonna be a seated calf raise. Look, we could all use bigger and more jacked and stacked calves. I really like using the machine at my gym. If I wasn't at my gym, I would use something like a belt squat and then just put the weight on my lap and then do the same thing. Maybe have a wedge, definitely have a wedge under my feet so I can get a full stretch. In terms of where you put this in your program, I really like taking this exercise, supersetting it with literally anything else in my program other than like my main movement for the day. Got that from natural hypertrophy, by the way. And then just, you know, doing that so I can make sure that I'm actually training my calves every day that I'm supposed to. I already know a good 50% of y'all have skipped your calves. I skipped my calves for a long time. But you do that, you're gonna avoid skipping them. In terms of fancy workouts, I don't think they need a whole ton. Really, it's just the same thing as the hack squats, right? You just try hard. There's always one more. After you can no longer do full range of motion reps, like I talk about in this video, you just do your half reps until you literally cannot budge the freaking thing anymore. Now, in terms of rep ranges, higher the better in my opinion, but it's a kitchen sink muscle. So start with 10 to 20. If you need to go above that because you feel like, you know, in trying the 10 to 20, you're just not getting the results that you're looking for, go upwards of 30, 50 reps. There's fellas that I've talked to that do like 30 rep sets, including like the half reps, and then that's how they got their big jacked and stacked calves. But those are just good, you know, general prescriptions for you to follow. Guys, these videos are a lot of fun to make. Our next episode in this series is gonna be about supersets that I wish I started doing that I commonly prescribe. I'd like to hear you guys input in terms of things that you'd like to see there. Maybe depending upon what you say, I'll add a few things based off of, you know, what you say outside of my plan. But if you have any questions about this video, please let me know. If you have suggestions for future episodes, please also let me know as well. Y'all have a good day.